Fandom isn't fun anymore because y'all complain too damn much. Y'all complain about fanfics, y'all complain about fan art, y'all complain about headcanons, y'all complain about OCs. My OC looking at those OCs. Y'all complain about cosplays. Like, y'all literally cannot enjoy anything. Y'all are so focused on being the normal or the better fans that you just end up coming off as really miserable. Everyone is too focused on judging the way other people consume media that they like. Fandom will never be fun again until we just let people be. Like, who cares if someone's OC isn't practical or cringe? Why are you making 10 videos about that? Anyway, we need to go back to live and let live. Like, if you don't like the way that someone is consuming a piece of media, you don't have to acknowledge it. You can literally just ignore them, block them, mute them. There's so many options.
Fandoms are not doing fandom right anymore. Why did I post a video saying, yeah, make OCs and roleplay with your friends? And so many of the comments are saying, oh, I don't have any friends, or I just don't have the friends to do it with. And multiple of y'all have the same fucking profile picture. Lego monkey kid, link up. What is the deal here? God, fandoms are so fucking boring now because everyone is like, oh, well, this should be morally correct and you have to have this opinion and you have to have this opinion. This is just basic human decency to have this opinion. And what is it? About shipping? About y'all are just fucking, it's boring and it's making it a really tense space. There should be no reality where people within the same fandom cannot make friends. Like, I'm not saying you have to be buddy-buddy with each other. I mean, you have identities beyond your fictional interests, but it's like, why aren't you able to link up? Why aren't you able to talk? Why is it so scary just to talk to people within the same space? That's what the fandom is for. But no, people are too aggro all the fucking time and nobody's making any friends. How do we fix this? What is this? Why is this? And how do we fix it? Because blaming other people, that's not gonna work and it hasn't worked. How do we fix this?
Here are some of the most intense fandoms that I've ever come across in my lifetime. Let's get into it. First, we have Beyonce. Y'all seen that show Swarm? That's what was based off of Beyonce. I had to make her picture bigger because if not, the beehive will come for me. I got a family. Y'all can't take me out. Like, it's actually odd to me how obsessed people are. Like, don't get me wrong. I like celebrities. I love Mariska from Law & Order SVU, but I would never fight somebody for her. Y'all be weird. But yeah, no, her fans are like OD. If somebody said your kids are Beyonce, I really think that some people will pick Beyonce, and that's just sad. Next, we have Taylor Swift. Very intense as well. Not sure if it's Swarm level, but very intense with the Swifties. I mean, Taylor literally got like teenage girls watching football that usually wouldn't watch football in hopes that they just see a glance of Taylor Swift at the game. I truly believe that if her and Travis get married, it'll be bigger than the royal wedding. Grey's Anatomy. Now, I am a part of this fandom, but nah. People be taking it too far. I've seen Facebook pages of people actually fighting about Meredith and Derek as if they're real people. They are characters. People actually took bereavement days when some of the Grey's Anatomy characters passed away. I'm a fan, and one of my children, actually both, I guess, share the names of Grey's Anatomy characters, but it wasn't intentional. You know, they go too far. Harry Potter fans can never be quiet. They gotta let you know they're a Harry Potter fan. They gotta have all the clothes. They gotta name their kids after the character. You gotta have the shirts, the wands. Like, you walk into their house and it's like Harry Potter shrines, pretty much. This one's kind of new, but the anti-Drake fan club. With the whole, like, Kendrick beef, now you have this whole fan club of, like, anti-Drake fans, and they're like, every chance you get, they gotta mention that they don't like Drake. Like, they'll be like, good morning to everybody except for Drake. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody but Drake. Like, okay, we get it! I'm in some of the most intense fandoms that you guys can think of.
I grew up sort of chronically online. I was one of those kids who completely had a whole different life, who lived like completely two separate lives. From the time that I walked out of my elementary school to the time I logged into my phone or computer, and I just simply existed within online spaces such as fandoms. I remember like truly like getting into the whole like fandom culture thing when I was when I was really 12. Sometimes I think 10, but really 12. That's when it really started. That's when I truly got online, because I downloaded Instagram when I was 12. And after all these years, 6 years or 7 years of being online, I've been through almost all the phases in like online fandom spaces, and I'm only 19. Like, it's weird. From standing like celebrities to like writing fan fiction to like getting into like online fights with people at like random times of the day. I've done it all. I even like made online friends. So I really was like one of those kids who was truly like more invested into like more online spaces. The types of kids who are considered the weird kids and don't really have that many like real life friends. I guess as I'm getting older, I'm at a place where I'm not truly as active in fandom spaces anymore. I'm very much calm. I'm sort of like jumping through fandoms, not really fully like participating sometimes. I'm just sort of like, it's like I don't know, it's like a house party. Like, I think of it as if like fandoms are like, each fandom is like a big house party. And I'm simply outside on the porch looking at all the activity through the window. And I'm not looking at it through a sad lens. I'm not looking at it as like I just wish I'm in there. I'm not even looking at it as like a form of like bitterness or like moral superiority, like, oh, I've grown out of this, so I'm better than all of you. No, I kind of like look at it like as is like, it's like I'm looking at it through like the lens of like, I still like this, but I'm not really gonna like participate that much into it, because as I've gotten older, I've realized that sometimes fandoms are a little bit intense. If you're just now like listening to this, like, you might think, okay, like, dude, you're just now like coming to this conclusion, like, where have you been? I thought you said you were been online for like 7 years, like you like you've been in online spaces since you were 12. You're just now realizing that fandoms and like people online can be like crazy? What? Like, are you like insane? I knew that. As my brain is developing, I'm finally kind of like getting it. It's finally getting it through my big and kind of like thick head that like sometimes like fandoms are intense and people can be a little bit crazy when it comes to like celebrities and like TV shows. It all feels very unserious. It gets a little too much, and I'm finally kind of like realizing that, yeah, sometimes fandoms can be a little bit intense. And I've realized that a lot, especially like when drama happens in certain fandom spaces. When drama happens, particularly in like fandoms that I'm more familiar in, fandoms that I do sometimes like show love and support to, I don't even like give my own 2 cents in them. Like, people will make TikTok videos after TikTok videos about it, like discussing the drama, but I am just simply chilling. I'm not really participating in that much discourse. I'm just like watching the chaos unfold, and I'm like listening to like many takes. Sometimes I'm forming opinions of my own. Of course I am, but I'm not taking it too seriously, unless if it's something truly dangerous and like for real fucked up, like abuse, murder, a sexual assault, pedophile allegations, like things like that. That's when I really do take things like these things that happen in those spaces more seriously. But when it's just simply high school like gossip, I don't really take it that much seriously anymore. I just simply let the chaos and the foolishness happen. And I know what you're about to say. If you've been like an avid listener, if you like listen to past episodes, yes, I admit sometimes I do participate in making some episodes about it. Like, you if you listen to like gossip session episodes, I made gossip session episodes about influencers breakups. I've made gossip sessions about TikTok drama. I made gossip sessions about celebrity drama. I admit, like, sometimes when it really like piques my attention, I will join the discourse, and sometimes it happens, and I'm human. And it's very contradictory. I understand it's very contradictory. My statement is contradictory, but I really do just simply set this one out and just like let it all happen. But let's just discuss why fandoms are kind of intense. And at the end, to be fair, I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the fandoms that I belong to and still do belong to. Like, I still do participate in some of the fandoms, but like, I'll tell you guys about it towards the end. So let's just discuss fandoms. But first, for those who don't know the definition of a fandom, let me just throw out the definition that I looked up. A fandom is a subculture of enthusiastic fans who share a common interest and a sense of camaraderie. Fans often dedicate significant time and energy to their interests and may engage in social networks with specific practices. Fandoms can be fandoms can be for people or things like books and characters. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But you probably already knew that anyway. But I just wanted to like throw out the definition. I structured the episode in two different like categories because there are many different types of fandoms, but like the main ones that I personally see and interact with almost on a daily basis, and the types of ones that do cause the most like drama and unseriousness are fandoms revolving around TV and film, and then there's celebrity fandoms. So we're going to be talking about both TV fandoms and celebrity fandoms. Let me just start out with the TV and film fandoms, because that's more of my type of fandom that I'm more a part of. Fandoms around TV and movies are a bit dramatic. They are. However, there is more community around these fandoms. There is more activities surrounding like these fandoms. There's more places to like meet up, like Comic-Con or like a book club, something of that sort. There are usually places in mind to accommodate for these fandom spaces to meet up and just simply discuss their most favorite things from that book or movie or TV show. Because these types of fandoms are more like typical and more expected, because like they don't really just exist in online spaces, but they always have existed in real life. Obviously like celebrity fandoms have existed in real life in the past, but like there have been more fandoms around TV and film have always existed in real life. People always met to talk about these things in real life. So obviously there are going to be more places in real life for these people to meet up and just simply talk and like build more community around these fandoms. Nowadays, people do meet up in like online spaces to like gush and like talk and like build community over their favorite TV show, movie, or book. Things like Reddit or like Discord, TikTok even. Really Wattpad. Like Wattpad has been a place too, but we'll talk about Wattpad later. That's really where I start. This is really, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, I guess like TV fandoms and like media fandoms in general are more digestible. They're more accepted. It's more chill, but it can get a little bit dramatic. Like I love y'all, I do, but it gets a little dramatic sometimes. And this is where, don't get upset. Please don't get upset and huffy when I say this, but sometimes I cannot really stand the unserious discourse sometimes that happens, specifically when it comes to like TV shows and movies. Sometimes we get a little bit overcritical with whatever happened in like TV shows and movies. Sometimes it's nice to like have places to like share our opinions about these things. I feel like I'm not explaining this correctly. Let's just put it like this. If I said that, I guess, let me just think about it. I guess to get a little bit more niche, if I said something along the lines of like, I think that the newest Batman movie with Robert Pattinson was shit, and I kind of like went into my own personal like details, and some people might heavily disagree with me and say like, no, I don't really believe that. I think that the Robert Pattinson Batman movie was great. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, it's great. Like, are you stupid? Are you blind? Like, what the fuck? But I guess the level of intensity that like comes within this like simple like disagreement, it gets a little bit more intense because we all have like this shared love within this fandom. And sometimes it feels like it kind of like feels like a requirement to like for everyone to like agree on every single thing within a fandom. But that's not always the case. People will always like have something to disagree with. That's just life. That is really just life, y'all. I'm thinking about something else. Or to put it even more specific, I personally do love Batman the Animated Series. But more specifically, I think the new Batman Adventures animation style wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad in my opinion. But there are people who heavily disagree with me too. And that simple disagreement might turn into like a very serious, like heavy like argument of like insulting intelligence. And it's just simply a simple disagreement. This is even more specific. I love Teen Titans 2003. I hate Teen Titans Go. But there might be some people who love Teen Titans Go who may not know what the hell I'm talking about with the original Teen Titans. I might talk about my own personal opinions of like why I think Teen Titans Go is shit. I don't really like it. I never really fucked with it to begin with. But there were some periods in the past where it wasn't that bad, but like since I watched the original Teen Titans, my opinion of Teen Titans Go changed. So I think Teen Titans Go isn't really that good in the first place. But there are people who heavily disagree with me. So it might turn into a fight then. So what I'm saying is like sometimes the discourse of like disagreeing, it gets too serious, and when in reality it's completely unserious. We take things way too seriously when we talk about TV shows and media sometimes. I do realize that. Sometimes it delves way too much. I guess to like talk a little bit about my own life. This really comes out whenever me and my uncle talk about whatever like TV show or movie. It's kind of like funny because my uncle, he always does have his own critical points. He has his own critical points on like a show or a movie, particularly movies. And he's very confident and he's very astute with his own opinions. And some of these opinions I might not agree with, he might not agree with mine. But it's like a very civil like discourse between the two of us, and it's very like funny at the same time. But it's also like it's sort of serious in our own eyes, but like I don't really take it that personally if he doesn't like a show or a movie that I like and that he personally doesn't like, because at the end of the day it's not really that serious, because it's just not that serious, y'all. But sometimes we do take it too seriously. I've seen this so many times on TikTok, particularly like with shipping in these moments. Like this is especially with shipping, love triangles. I've tried to make an episode surrounded around love triangles. Like the other week, I really did try to like make an episode around love triangles, because at this point, I cannot stand love triangles. I never realized I actually had like an actual like kind of like a itch. Like I just don't really vibe with love triangles anymore. I never truly vibed with love triangles. Never did. I find them to be very cliche, lazy, sometimes with writing because it's been overdone. And also, it feels so backwards nowadays. It's romanticizing a very toxic kind of like relationship. I'm mostly thinking about it like when it comes to like the summer I turned pretty discourse. I've seen the discourse on TikTok with everyone like talking about how something about how like Connor is very toxic and people kind of like defending and making so many excuses for Connor. It is a little bit serious of how people are romanticizing toxic romantic behavior in relationships, and it's very concerning because what people will see on TV, sometimes they will like replicate it in real life. Sometimes like the discourse around like certain like storylines and like things of like in TV and media and like whatever kind of media, it gets a little unserious. But it's moments like these when it's like when certain storylines are romanticizing a very toxic kind of trope and it's very impressionable to very young viewers, like it's a little bit serious. People need to be talking about it. It's not really it can't really be slept on. So yeah, that's when it gets serious. Like some topics need to be talked about, but like sometimes when it gets to like simple like surface level opinion pieces, like I just simply don't really vibe with this show or movie or like this choice like the creators made. Sometimes it gets a little bit unserious with like how seriously we take it. I feel like I'm being sort of like a hypocrite about this because, and I guess a few episodes ago, I made an episode talking about the whole discourse in Dead Poet Society, how Neil and Todd are more than just friends, they're boyfriends. And I explained how people saying that they weren't and how it's just forced, I just simply said, yeah, I just find it bullshit. Because of like the context of like the characters, the movie saying how it would like enhance like the whole plot. That's why like they make more sense because like it's the storyline. Like it will make more sense to the story. But I personally think it's like a very unserious topic, but I made the episode because like people will truly like, I don't know, like it's not enough for people to like simply disagree, but people will really like create online spaces or like go into online spaces and just simply start shit, just simply start arguments. Like I don't know, like it just gets weird. That's kind of like I don't know, that's just like an example of like how like media fandoms are basically. Next up, celebrity fandoms. Oh god, that has a whole other can of worms. Celebrity fandoms are where people's most crazy comes out. If you thought that like media fandoms get a little intense and crazy sometimes, celebrity fandoms are really the winners, really. They really do. Like, people who really do like stan celebrities to like cult like extent, like it's really concerning. It really is like concerning. It's sort of like concerning how the most famous celebrities of our time have very large cult like followings. I'm gonna like list off the celebrities whose fandoms are a little bit intense, and then I'm gonna like end it off with like the fandoms who are actually like fine. They're just simply underdogs. So the first up is Taylor Swift. Swifties, we love you. We really do, but like y'all are a little bit intense. You guys, like what? Okay, like y'all need to like take a chill pill sometimes. It's not that serious. But anyway, like in the late 2000s and 2010s when Swift was becoming more big, she created like a community of fans who really do connect with her music. I have to give it to her with everything that Taylor Swift is sometimes, and like I am not particularly like a Swiftie. I do like her music. I really do. But like I'm not really a huge Swiftie, as it turns out. Even though I like her music. But like I just simply don't really like the fandom sometimes. Like Swifties are very intense. But I have to hand her to I really do have to hand it to her. Taylor Swift really does connect with her fans. In the beginning, she really did connect with her fans. Because Taylor Swift created like a little bit of a space for girls who felt very unseen in the 2000s and now in these days too. And it's kind of like she's like their big sister and their best friend. And she's shown it in like some ways, like having private like conversations with them, putting out little clues in her albums for like the fans to like figure it out, sharing some of her secrets in some of her songs, making them feel like they are like connecting on like an individual level, even inviting them to her house for like album to listen to her albums before she releases them. It's kind of like amazing how there is like a group of people who would really like do anything and everything a woman like. It's just amazing how a group of people will really like do whatever a celebrity would say and do. It gets even more concerning when, let's say, like whenever Taylor Swift was going through a breakup. And I remember like really with Red is my favorite Taylor Swift album, but like with everyone, like especially like when the re-recorded version came back out, the entire discourse and rumors around who All Too Well was about, it really did like it really like stirred up her fans like hornet's nest, because people are convinced that it's about Jake Gyllenhaal, and some of the fans will take to kind of like harassing her exes because they're her exes and they did her wrong. Some of them really did do her wrong. And in her album Speaking Out, she wrote some songs inspired about her relationship with this singer John Mayer. And one particular song, Dear John, people really did not really it really did like ruin people's like image of like John Mayer, because he acted like an ass in that relationship. And a fan actually did like DM John Mayer, I think a thread really, and like he actually responded to that fan. So yeah. And also like when Speak Now released, Taylor Swift actually had to like say oh god, when she performed Dear John at the Eras Tour, she really said like, I appreciate y'all like trying to defend me, but like I'm fine. Y'all don't have to like send all this hate. Like I'm good, y'all. I'm like it's fine. Like calm down. She really had to like say that on stage for people to like not start shit. And I'm pretty sure people did start shit anyway, because you know, Taylor Swift is basically their god. When Taylor Swift is really just a person. I know she looks unreal, but like she's still a real person, y'all. She's still a real person. Also, last but not least, it feels like no one can really like say anything about Taylor Swift without Swifties doxing and like harassing themselves. When, I guess like more specifically like 2 years ago, when she was dating Maddie Healy, and some stuff got out about him like saying some very creepy shit. Well, really like weird shit about Ice Spice and black women in general. It was very telling how Taylor Swift was so silent. How she would associate with someone like Maddie Healy. And how fans were now just paying attention to like fans were just now paying attention to Maddie Healy's behavior once he was with Taylor Swift. But like once like Maddie Healy's like, I guess like once he's not with Taylor Swift, people were like overlooking his actions, but like now that he's with Taylor Swift, now people have made it Taylor's responsibility. And also, it was a mixture of like her silence on the subject of like his very creepy behavior towards black women in general. It really did like reek of like white feminism. And I watched like a video. I remember like watching a video by Think Peace Tribe. He literally had to say like he wasn't like overtly criticizing Taylor Swift. He's really just like pointing it out. Like it didn't mean like he hated Taylor Swift, but like Swifties are just simply like intense. Like people cannot like make a criticism about Taylor Swift, even if it's like completely true, because again, like Taylor Swift is their god, and you can never say anything bad about their god. It's weird. Anyway, next up is Justin Bieber. Oh Lord. So yeah, Justin Bieber's fans are kind of up there with the very obsessive and crazy bunch. Many celebrities, especially like musicians, have dealt with very crazy fans, very obsessive and dangerous interactions with fans, like the Beatles and One Direction, like particularly the Beatles, because Beatlemania was very, 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 like, it's intense. So Justin Bieber, when he was really at the top, that man has been he has been at the shadow of my childhood for years and years and years. But like Justin Bieber's fans are really up there with obsessive and crazy, because Justin has had many instances of fans breaking into his house, stalked, whatever the case may be. And there's also have been periods where he was actively like shitty towards his fans. Like I remember a story where he was literally like, I remember this story because this man really did live rent free in my mind. I was really like tracking down every single shitty thing he ever did, so I can just like, so I can like talk to my sister. Like I could just like mock my sister about like, haha, like that's your man. Like he did this. He's not so perfect. And like, why was I so obsessed with this guy in the first place? Like, why did I care so much? It was so obvious. How did I not know? But anyway, I remember the story vaguely. Or I was simply watching a Watch Mojo. I think I was watching a Watch Mojo video about like top 10 like worst things Justin Bieber's ever done. So anyway, he was somewhere like in a foreign country, like I think like Paris, somewhere. And he was on tour. I'm pretty sure he was on tour. And he stuck his head out his hotel window. And a lot of fans were out there. Like, obviously, they know where his hotel was. They were, like, crowding the place. They were, like, excited to, like, get a glimpse of him. And he spat on one of his fans. That actually did happen. He actually spat on one of his, like, fans. He spitted on them. And obviously, like, some people are, like, very upset. And he did, like, a lot of, like, very questionable and disrespectful things around this time. And he was going through some other stuff with drug addiction, the on-again, off-again stuff with Selena. Kind of, like, ruining her life in the process, too. Either intentionally or, like, unintentionally. But, like, anyway. But either way, the relationship between Justin and his fans have always been like very like complicated, very kind of like a love-hate, and also kind of like a toxic relationship, to be honest, because like there was a period of where like Justin like seemed like he loved his fans, and then like he took his anger out on his fans and he was acting like a dick. And now he kind of feels kind of like indifferent to his fans because he kind of like is still going through some things too. But anyway, that's all with like Justin. Beyonce. Well, I don't really have that much to say because The Beehive is very passionate, and they're a very ride and die fandom. You can call, I mean, like, they're a very ride and die fandom. I'm not completely a part of the Beehive, but I do like Beyonce's music. I have listened to some songs, so like the hype and the praise, it's not coming out of nowhere. It's not coming out of nowhere. But anyway, next up is Billie Eilish. Her fans are also intense, obsessed, and also very clinically depressed. She sort of said that herself, kind of. I think that's what she said, but like that, no, that's not what Billie Eilish said about her fans sometimes. But like her music really does connect with a very specific group of people. Specifically, like her earlier work, she really did was very morbid. And I gotta say, when I was feeling a little depressed, I was turning on a little bit of her songs. That's practically kind of like the vibe of a teenager nowadays. Like, you just simply do all that stuff. Like, if you're feeling morbid, just put on some early Billie Eilish music and just simply sit in the dark and vibe. But her fans are also a bit racist nowadays. Around February, when the Grammys came and Beyonce won Album of the Year with her album Cowboy Carter, I saw many people being racist online. What a surprise. What a surprise. Like, it's not really a surprise, but like the amount of like outrage people got over Beyonce winning Album of the Year, the amount of people who said that she paid for her award, it was DEI. Oh, Jay-Z paid for her award because he called out the Recording Academy. Oh, no one really listened to that album. Like, all that shit. Because all that shit was just it was unnecessary and so racist. Like, no one was saying that they couldn't be disappointed that Billie Eilish didn't win. But y'all could do that without being racist. And it made people not even want to listen to Billie Eilish's music because of her fans. Her fans are kind of intense. They're racist now. And they really did try do a whole 180 and frame it as it was something else when they showed their true colors. When the Grammys happened, we all saw their asses. We all saw y'all's asses. Y'all are racist. Jesus. Anyway. But Billie, like Taylor, has also created a very intimate connection with her fans because a lot of fans do connect to her music, and she really did create a little bit space of community with her fans. And nowadays, celebrity, people who are in celebrity fandoms, they do have places to go and build community, concerts and fun raisers, little clubs or something like that. But really, they do exist in online spaces. That's what I'm really thinking about. It's really in online spaces where celebrity fandoms really do exist and really thrive the most in online spaces. Last but certainly not least, Ariana Grande. They are also a very ride or die fandom. This fandom is sort of the underdog of celebrity fandoms because mostly Ariana gets overlooked sometimes when it comes to more bigger awards like the Grammys. And when her album Eternal Sunshine was nominated for some categories of the Grammys, but Ariana didn't really show up to the Grammys, and people who are heavy supporters and fans of Ariana Grande, they were posting on TikTok well, this isn't really new, this is just a part of the fandom. Ariana doesn't really get noticed that much, that's why she just stopped going to the Grammys, things like that. And I am a fan of Ariana Grande. I just don't really listen to her music that much. I can't really say I'm a Arinator. I think that's the name of the fandom. I cannot really fully say that. I can't say that. But I do like her music. I also loved Eternal Sunshine, and it did take me a while to like finally like listen to the deluxe version, but I do like the deluxe version. I really do. Who else had like Twilight Zone on repeat for days and days? Like I love that song. Twilight Zone is just such a vibe. I love Twilight Zone. But Ariana Grande's fandom is sort of like the underdogs of fandoms, but like they do have their moments where it gets a little problematic. While we're on the subject of like celebrity fandoms, we also need to talk about when the drama occurs. The thing that I've noticed within fandoms revolving around celebrities is whenever something bad comes out against their favorite, it takes a minute for them to even like register the bad thing that they did, or the alleged bad thing that they did, or something, the messy thing that they did. To put it simply, I'm just going to put it in the most blunt way as I can possible. Critical thinking completely goes out the window. And everyone is either blindly supporting their favorite or damning them to hell without hearing any other evidence, because like they're just that impressionable, they're just that persuaded. And sometimes people, I'm just going to be like, I'm trying not to be mean about this, but like I've realized in the last few months that people online who are like very heavily online, they truly don't really have a mind of their own. They just simply go to whatever side has the most voices, and they'll just like spew out the same talking points without ever like truly like thinking about the situation and what they really think about for themselves. I know it's like more easy to like follow the crowd because it's like mob mentality. Like no one's really gonna like, when fandoms really like, I guess like when you see a fandom in real life and we get into like one room instead of like an online space, it's just simply mob mentality. Everyone's just gonna like be doing so much, and so like I don't know, it be doing too much sometimes, but like it gets a little too much. It really does. But I have seen both scenarios play themselves out, and if I'm being honest, I've been one of those fans who did automatically like toss that celebrity in the trash and become a complete hater without really like understanding the full context, and just like not really like thinking about how it is for myself. I really just didn't really think for myself. Like I just didn't really think. And the celebrity I'm gonna like mention for like an example is Ariana Grande, because this really did come to mind as I was like writing an outline for this, because I have thought about two scandals where I acted sort of like more young, and then the next scandal that happened, I just simply kept my mouth shut, and I just simply like just waited for more information. The first scandal was when she said "fuck America" in the donut shop. I don't really remember it all that much, but I vaguely remember how I felt about it. I vaguely remember it. But I do remember like when that scandal happened, and I was very little and naive, and I just felt like, I don't know, I just saw everyone get angry, and I just got angry myself. And I was so naive, and I held so much of a grudge. I really did like hold a grudge against Ariana Grande. It was almost like she said the N-word. I acted as if she said the N-word to my face, and I held that grudge for years and years until 8th grade. And like 2018, this was when like Thank You Next came out. But I remember vague little things that I did. I really did like become a hater towards Ariana Grande. I was just simply like, the mere mention of her, I rolled my eyes. I was literally getting to like YouTube comment sections and writing how awful she is, how she's so this, things I didn't really actually like think. I was just simply like spewing whatever came to mind. I was just simply like being a hater for no apparent reason. I was just simply I was just simply a hater. I really was. I think I did get into like fights with some people about that online too. And if you didn't get if you've been so active in like fandom spaces, you cannot say that you haven't gotten in online fights with random people about celebrities and or whatever. That you would be lying if you said you never got into like online fights with people, because we all did. I definitely did. I definitely did. But I was literally like looking up for like Ariana Grande's like worst moments, how she's such a bitch, all that. I was truly a hater of Ariana Grande. I really was. And I don't know what it was that made me change my mind, but like I guess when I started like listening to her music again and whatever, the feelings really did just like die down, and I just realized how I was just being so like silly. I was truly being unserious, and I really just was like acting like I had just had no home training, and I just acted like I didn't have other shit to do, because it really did, like, I never realized how serious I took that scandal, when in reality, now that I'm 19 and with everything happening in America, low key, fuck America too. Like, I kind of feel the same way what she said in that donut shot sometimes. Because America be ashy, especially for me as a black person in America. Not really. I'm not really vibing with America right now. Because America is just built on racism. It was built on white supremacy, patriarchal standards that just don't really make very toxic Christianity standards, all that jazz. And mostly like colonization. It was really built on that. So yeah, kind of feeling that same vibe. The next scandal is something that everyone knows about. It was her scandal with her relationship with Ethan Slater and her divorce from Dalton Gomez. When that news, I remember when the news came out that like Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater are dating. There's a possibility that like Ariana like cheated on her husband and she broke up a marriage in her own. I wasn't instantly jumping to the conclusions of like homewrecker or she's a slut or whatever. I was not jumping to those conclusions. In fact, I was really like keeping my mouth shut, even though like no one really cared for my opinion anyway. But like anyway, I wasn't really getting on TikTok making videos and like saying how Ariana was just not a girl's girl. She's this, she's that, she's like a homewrecker, she's like looking for attention, all that. And I really just wasn't like doing all that. I really was trying to like do a little bit of like critical thinking. I really was trying to like see all sides of the story. I really was trying not to jump to conclusions. But I was not surprised by this news. I say this because it's not the first time that Ariana got with a man who was already with someone else. Because Naya Rivera, the actress who played Santana on Glee, wrote in her memoir about an experience she had with Ariana, because she was seeing a rapper named Big Sean, and I remember, if I remember correctly, she walked into the trailer and he saw him with this girl kind of cuddled up to him on the couch, and she referred to the girl as Smariana Grande. And at the time, people were kind of like shocked by this behavior. And I'm just saying it wouldn't really be a surprise to me that if that rumor was true, that when I heard more information about what was going on in Ariana Grande's marriage, with it already being on the rocks, her husband kind of like pulling away, and then like Ariana kind of like grieved him already, so she just kind of like started the separation process. She started like falling for Ethan, and now she looks like the bad guy because of like what it looks like, it everything like that. But what made me kind of like twitch my eyes a little bit is how still the blind support people were like giving Ariana. it's not like she's a bad person. I will not say that Ariana Grande is a bad person. She's a little messy, and this pattern of behavior isn't new. So, but like, she's just not really a bad person. But sometimes it kind of like annoys me how people will still blindly support celebrities who do very messy, terrible things. Another, I guess like another scenario that comes to mind is the online situation that was happening with James Charles and the whole Kayla and Evan Johnston case. I wasn't that active in like getting like more, I don't know, I just wasn't that heavily active in it. I just knew that James Charles, he's not really to be trusted in the first place. I don't really no, I just haven't no. James Charles is blocked on all of my socials. I don't really fuck with that guy at all. And the fact that people will still blindly support him. Like the whole vibe his fans are giving, like, I can excuse pedophilia, but I draw the line at sleeping with an abuser. And I'm just like, y'all can excuse pedophilia? What the hell? That's really like the vibe that came with this entire Kayla, Evan Johnston, and James Charles situation. That's basically it. And when James Charles made that very faux apology video that tried to like gaslit everybody, like, I was just shaking my head. Not surprised, because people in fandoms fail to hold the person accountable. They really do fail to hold their favorite celebrity like accountable when they do very questionable, illegal things like murder, abuse, SA. Like, people will really like look over these things because like they're just so talented. They're just my favorite. Oh, why can't I just simply like them? Why you're just tone policing us? Like, you're just tone policing us, you guys. Like, y'all, the man is like a literal abuser. Why are y'all still supporting him? Like, it's weird. And also, it's the infantilization of it all that really like makes me kind of like frustrated. Like, people will literally like make up excuses for so many things when it comes to their favorite celebrities. Anyway, moving on. Now, if we're going to be talking about fandoms and how they're intense and they're a little bit crazy, we have to talk about the fanfiction, the shipping. We gotta talk about it. Now, you're not in trouble, okay? Like, calm down, everybody. I feel like I'm going to be losing some people because we're almost an hour in. Like, I've been talking for like an hour, if you guys are still listening. You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. Get back here. Come on. Get back here. Sit down. Okay? We just got to talk about this. Okay? Because sometimes you're doing a lot. You're doing the most. So sometimes we need to put a lid on it. So, yeah. Fandoms start to, like, how do I put this in? I guess, like, fandoms really start to trend to, like, very weirdo, creepy territory when shipping becomes more involved, when fan fiction becomes more extreme and prevalent, when all this comes into more of a factor. When it comes to like TV shows, movies, characters, that is completely fine to write fan fiction and to ship, in those situations, because those are just fictional characters. Like, it's not really hurting anybody. As long as like the fan fiction is not weird and creepy, that's where it really does like trend to like some weird territories. Like, some abusive fanfics do exist with some fandoms, and it gets very weird when it gets like it turns into like very problematic real quick when the fan fiction starts to get more weird in those situations. Like, when it like glorifies like rape culture, when it really does get into like very weird territory, is when they start shipping real life people, especially like people of the same sex. That's when the boundaries, the weirdness, it really goes to a full extreme. Because the hyperanalyzation of real life people's interactions to see if they are in a relationship is very invasive, it's very weird, and it's very traumatizing to those people. The two ships that do come to mind are real life, are real life people that people ship are the Cameron ship of Fifth Harmony and the Larry Stellanson ship of One Direction. God, these two ships have really did do numbers on the people involved, and they really did scar these people, and it really did affect their real life friendships with those people involved. Two people that really were affected were Lauren Haregi. The whole Cameron spectacle definitely made Lauren very uncomfortable with the fact that, one, she's bisexual, and at the same time she wasn't planning on being out to the public. And also the fan fiction that people would write, the clips that people would put together, it made Lauren feel like a predator. And she later came out that it was due to I guess, oh god. It was, oh god, okay. She later came out in 2019 or 2018. I think it was 2019 when she came out, and that was only due to pictures of her and then at the time girlfriend. Lauren was at her relative's wedding, and then her and her girlfriend took pictures in a picture booth, and fans saw it, then they leaked it to everywhere else, and it just became a whole thing. And she doesn't speak on it now, but she said it had affected how she interacts with other women. And I'll put in a clip because she talked about it a little bit more in depth in Becky G's podcast.
I was 18 and absolutely not trying to come out to the public. I absolutely didn't want, people thought, and this is going to be another controversial acknowledgement, but whatever. People thought Camila and I were into each other. And that made me so uncomfortable, disgustingly uncomfortable, because I was queer, but she was not. Mm-hmm. And it made me feel like a predator, essentially, because
it's invasive.
It made me feel like a predator because of the type of clips people would put together and the type of stories people would write and the type of stuff. I was always the aggressor, and I was always the one turning her, and I was always the one who was the masculine energy in the scenario. And it made me very uncomfortable because that's not how I identify. And that's not to say that that's wrong to identify like that. Daddy, get your shit. You know what I mean? Do your thing. But I did not identify that way. And I also did not have that connection with her. Camila and I were just very good friends at that time. You know what I'm saying? And we respected each other. When each other would talk, we would look at each other. We had love for each other, genuine friendship. You know what I'm saying? And in the Latinx culture, I don't know about you, but growing up, I was very affectionate with all of my friends. I was very, we would tell each other shit that, yeah, maybe you would think we were gay if you were listening over.
Yes.
But we weren't, you know what I'm saying? And that wasn't the interaction. So that actually made me so uncomfortable to the point where I to this day hyperanalyze every connection that I have with a girl because I don't want to make them feel like I'm looking at them that way, because they're to this day convinced that was real. You know what I'm saying? And I can't do anything to change it. Cause even when I talk about it, and I don't talk about it because I've learned to just ignore it, because it was just so traumatizing for me. You know what I'm saying? That it was I just chose to ignore it at a certain point, because getting angry to them would mean that it was real and validate it more for them. So I was okay, then I can't get angry or defend myself, apparently, because then that just makes it more real. It really fucked with my head, because I was just I wasn't even comfortable with telling my parents about it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even comfortable telling myself that I was queer, And I didn't see Camila that way. So it just made me uncomfortable that I could potentially be putting off that kind of vibe onto someone who I wasn't trying to do that with. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because that made me, again, it made me feel like a predator. To this day, I have an issue with that because of it.
Yeah.
I have an issue flirting with girls because I'm I don't want them to think that I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Invade or anything like that. So anyway, punto y aparte. I was very uncomfortable, and I absolutely didn't want to come out because I was like, they're going to confirm that rumor, and then it's just going to go in a whole nother directions, and, you know, it's going to get worse, right?
And that's a pretty good clip. After, like, I saw that clip, I immediately felt bad because, like, I wasn't really, like, that supportive of the ship, but I wasn't heavily, like, against the ship to begin with. I wasn't actively, like, participating in the ship, but, like, I just felt bad that I even, like, mentally, like, entertained it in my mind, in my very young mind. The next ship is the Larry ship. The Larry ship was a very... This was a celebrity ship that really did go way too far. And Louis had denied the rumors for years, multiple times. And he has talked about how it negatively affected his relationship with his ex-girlfriend at the time, Eleanor Calder, with fans sending threats and harassing her. I'm only guessing, but like that's probably what happened. And he also spoke about how it impacted his friendship with Harry Styles and how it made them feel like they couldn't even like interact with each other at all because people would like make up so much stuff about their friendship. And even though like I made an episode in the past talking about how Neil and Todd, how like how it goes, it's really one of these moments where like when you say like can't just two boys be friends, like this is where I agree. Like I don't know, it's like it was weird how people were truly like trying to like romanticize all of this and how it really was none of I don't know, it really was, oh god, anyway, it's just those two situations, it was really no one else's business of the nature of their relationship. It really was like no one else's business. Like it's one thing to be curious, but like to really be that invasive, to really like put so many clips together, to even like write very questionable fan fiction about real life people, to put them in a situation where you're basically kind of like outing these people's, you're probably like outing them or like making people around them question their sexuality all the time. Like it's not fun. It's concerning. It's a little weird that, and also like it really just, again, it really wasn't no one else's business. Like it was okay. Last but not least, the final section of this episode. It's only fair that I talk a little bit about the fandoms that I belong to and still do to an extent. So there are like a lot of fandoms that I was a part of over the years, but like I can only think of like 3 fandoms that my younger self was truly like a part of, and I can think of like one celebrity like fan club or like fandom that I am, one celebrity fandom now that I am a part of, but like I'm not that actively like participating in that much, but like we'll get into it. The first one was like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I got into the show around 2012 or like 2013, and it was like around like the first show where I think it really was like the first show where I stuck around from the very beginning to the very end. It was one of the first shows that like I was there for the beginning, I was there for the end. A lot of nostalgia is very placed on this show when I watch old episodes from time to time, because like I really did like Friendship is Magic. It was a pretty good show. But when I was younger, I grew up in the late 2000s, early 2010s. This is where like a lot of things were like, we were still kind of like not really progressing that much. So this is where like the whole like gender, like boys should like this, girls should like this, like that was like where it was truly like at its peak in the like early 2010s. Like it was still going on. It still goes on today, but like it wasn't really like at a chokehold as it was back then, because back then like people were like really saying like, oh, boys shouldn't like watch My Little Pony. Like, oh, well, really like kids at my school would say this. like, oh, boys shouldn't like My Little Pony, that's so girly. So like I went years and years without ever like actively like saying like, oh, I like this show or I watch this show. People would give boys so much shit over like liking anything that was girly at the time. They still do that, but like when I was in elementary school, when I was in middle school, people were cruel. Like kids were like so mean about this. But My Little Pony taught me a lot of like it taught me a lot about friendship. And being an autistic kid growing up, it really did teach me a lot of like social cue. The second fandom that I got into was Paw Patrol, and I got into it in 2014. In second grade, I was very like entertained by these pups, and I liked the toys. But I remember like I was in second grade, and one morning I woke up very sick, and I had to like stay home. And it was like a year after the show came out because it premiered in 2013. And again, I was very like enamored by these little dogs, and they were like so colorful and like cute, and I loved the toys so much. And I think at the time, with the, like one of the things that I liked the most about the show was I was shipping Chase and Sky before I even knew what shipping was. I don't think I knew the word shipping until like after I saw Paw Patrol for the first time. Last but not least, certainly not least, the MVP, the man himself, or the train himself, Thomas. Thomas and Friends. I love Thomas. I can't say when I got into Thomas, but like, God, I'm getting emotional, but like, Thomas, he was always there. It's always been me and Thomas, me and Thomas against the world. I never really like related to any character the way I related to Thomas. Oh God, Thomas really was, he really was there for me because, yeah, Thomas was like a little blue train. He was a tank engine who lived in a big station on the island of Sodor. I remember almost every single line from the first episode. I can quote it from memory. I can almost quote it from memory. He had six small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. He was a fussy little engine, always pulling coaches about, ready for the big engines to take on long journeys. And when trains come in, he pulls the empty coaches away so that the big engines can go and rest. Another one, once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. He went into a tunnel, a squeak through his funnel, and never came out again. There is so much nostalgia within Thomas, and I love this fandom so much. I love Thomas forever. I'll never give up on Thomas. I check up on that. I check up on the fandom sometimes. I really do. I was born in the hit era of Thomas and Friends, but I watched the classic Thomas and Friends too. And I got most of the trains. I remember collecting almost all of the trains. I never really completed my collection of like Thomas and Friends. I never completed that. I'm thinking of like getting like the model Bachmann trains. I only got one. I got Douglas, but I never really got the tracks and like the setup. But yeah, I watched almost all the movies, and I just love it so much. I do check up on it sometimes because I do like watch like videos, deep dive videos on like the characters, and like it's very like educational to me because like it gives me like a whole new perspective of like these trains that I've known for so many years. I don't know, I just like learning new things about the franchise. And one celebrity, I guess like to close that one out, I guess like the one celebrity fandom that I'm a part of is like Olivia Rodrigo's, like Livy's. Like I can say that I'm a Livy because obviously like if you watch past episodes, like I'm a Livy, obviously. Anyway, to kind of like close this out, fandoms are not inherently bad. They're not bad. Even though I said that like even though like I made this whole like episode saying like, oh, fandoms are messy, they're not bad. They just can get a little bit messy. It's not wrong to support someone or a show or a book or a movie that you like. It's not wrong, but like sometimes people, I guess like we just have to remember that these are people who make mistakes and are able to do bad things, and that this show, movie, or book is just they're just simply pieces of media. It's not completely that serious unless the topics are serious. Then like, yeah, it gets serious. But like most of the discourse and all this stuff is unserious. And it's nice to have a community of people who do share the same interests as you. But I feel like we need to like sometimes take a breather from fandom. Sometimes like we need to like check out sometimes, like log off of our phones and like go outside, touch some grass, like spend time with your loved ones, your friends and family, and just simply say to yourself, remind yourself whenever like drama comes into a fandom, like it's not completely that serious. It's not that serious, and it's not completely the end of the world. Anyway, that's kind of all I have for today. This hour-long ass episode. That's kind of all I have for today. So yeah. Thank you for listening to Let's Discuss. You can find the podcast on like Spotify, YouTube. Just search up Let's Discuss with Nick Marshall on YouTube and Spotify for, the full episodes. You can also like find it anywhere you stream podcasts. You can find it on social media at at Let's Discuss Podcast _, all lowercase, on Instagram and TikTok. And you can follow me, nick.marshall02 on Instagram, if you want to see your beloved host in the flesh, because maybe video might come out soon. I don't know. I'm working on it. But like, anyway, it's been a nice talk, and yeah. God. Just remember to like touch some grass. Like remember to go outside when you getting a little too immersed in fandoms sometimes. Like, we all have to remember the outside world exists. Anyway, I'll shut up. It's been a nice talk. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.